A little girl's lunch was thrown away. Again. But this time, someone stopped to ask why. And when he finally learned the answer, it destroyed him. Because the system starving her? He built it. This is the story of how a billionaire's guilt met a child's hunger, and how neither of them survived it the same way. Sky watched her lunch disappear into the trash can. Not dropped, not forgotten, thrown away. The cafeteria lady didn't look angry. She didn't even look sorry. She just looked nothing. Like throwing away a child's food was something normal people did on Tuesdays. Next, the lady said. Sky stood there, her stomach twisted, not from hunger, from the word that kept screaming inside her head. Again. This was the third time this month. Same cafeteria, same trash can, same empty hands walking back to a table where nobody saved her a seat. The other kids didn't stare. That would have been something. They just kept eating, laughing, trading chips, living in a world where lunch actually made it to the table. Sky pulled her red sweater tighter. It was too warm for it, but she wore it anyway. Red meant people had to see you, even if they chose not to. She walked past the loud table, past the quiet one, past the teacher scrolling on her phone near the exit. Nobody stopped her. Nobody asked if she was okay. Sky sat down alone at the edge of the cafeteria. Her backpack felt heavier than it should. Inside was a note from her grandmother, written in shaky handwriting. Lunch money attached. Don't skip today. She had paid. She had followed every rule, and still, her food ended up in the trash. The bell rang, chairs scraped, voices faded. The cafeteria emptied like water down a drain. Sky stayed. She stayed because going to class meant pretending everything was fine. It meant smiling when the teacher asked if anyone needed anything. It meant lying. So she sat and waited and felt the word press deeper into her chest. Again. Her throat burned. Not from crying. Sky didn't cry anymore. Crying made adults uncomfortable. It made them ask questions they didn't really want answered. So instead, she sat in her red sweater. Invisible in a color meant to be seen. And she thought about the one thing nobody had asked her yet. Why does this keep happening? Outside, the world kept moving. Inside, Sky learned what it felt like to be erased in a room full of people. The cafeteria was empty now, except for her, and the trash can, and the lunch that never made it home. The cafeteria didn't stop for Sky. It never did. Trays kept sliding across metal counters. Forks scraped plates. Milk cartons hit tables. Someone laughed too loud at a joke that wasn't funny. Life moved forward. Sky stayed still. She sat at the far table near the window, the one with the wobbly leg nobody liked. That's why it was always empty. That's why Sky chose it. A group of kids rushed past her. One bumped her shoulder. Didn't apologize. Didn't even notice. Sky pulled her knees up to her chest. Her red sweater covered her legs. She wrapped her arms around herself and waited for the noise to swallow her completely. Across the room, the cafeteria lady wiped down the counter. The same counter where Sky's lunch had been minutes ago. The trash can sat beside her, full, overflowing. Sky stared at it. Her food was in there, somewhere between a banana peel and a crumpled napkin. Buried. Forgotten. Nobody cared. A teacher walked by. Mr. Langston. He taught history. He talked about important people who changed the world. People who fought for what was right. He walked right past Sky. Didn't stop. Didn't ask. Didn't see. Sky dropped her head onto her knees. Her stomach made a sound. Quiet. Angry. She ignored it. Hunger was something you could survive. Sky had done it before. She'd do it again. But this feeling, this hollow ache in her chest that had nothing to do with food, that was different. That stayed. Another bell rang. 5th period. The cafeteria started to empty. Voices faded. Chairs scraped. Footsteps echoed and disappeared. Sky didn't move. She stayed in her red sweater at the wobbly table. Alone. The cafeteria lady turned off the lights in the kitchen. The hum of the refrigerators went silent. The room felt bigger now, colder. Sky lifted her head. The cafeteria was empty. Completely empty, except for her. She looked around at the tables where kids had sat, laughing, talking, eating. They were gone now, and none of them had noticed her. Not one. Sky stood up slowly. Her legs felt weak. She slung her backpack over one shoulder and walked toward the exit. Her footsteps echoed in the empty space. She passed the trash can on her way out, stopped, looked down. Her lunch was still in there, wrapped in plastic, untouched. She didn't reach for it. She just stared. Then she walked out into the hallway. Behind her, the cafeteria went dark, and Sky learned the worst kind of pain, the kind that doesn't scream, the kind that whispers, "You don't matter." Sky wore the red sweater every day, not because it was her favorite, not because it matched anything. She wore it because red doesn't hide. Her grandmother had given it to her 3 years ago, back when her hands didn't shake, back when she could still knit without dropping stitches. "Wear something bright," she'd said, "so people remember you're there." Sky hadn't understood then. She did now. The sweater was too big. The sleeves hung past her wrists. The hem reached her thighs, but Sky never rolled up the sleeves, never tucked it in. Big meant safe. Big meant covered. Red meant seen. In the hallways, Sky was a blur of color in a sea of gray and blue. Backpacks, hoodies, jeans. Everyone looked the same, except her. She walked through the crowds and felt eyes skip over her. Not stopping, just noticing, just enough to know she existed. That was all she needed. In the cafeteria, the red sweater burned against the dull white walls, against the beige trays, against the faces that never looked up. Sky sat at the wobbly table in her red sweater and dared the room to ignore her. It did anyway, but at least she tried. At least she wore the color that refused to disappear. One morning, a teacher stopped her in the hall. "Mrs. Brennan, English, 3rd period." "Sky," she said, "that's a lovely sweater." Sky looked up. Mrs. Brennan smiled, the kind of smile adults gave when they wanted to seem nice but didn't actually want a conversation. "Thanks," Sky said. Mrs. Brennan nodded. Walked away. That was it. No questions, no concern, just a compliment that meant nothing. Sky pulled the sleeves down over her hands and kept walking. The sweater didn't make people care. It just made them notice for half a second before they forgot again. But that half second mattered, because in a place that erased her every single day, being seen even for a moment felt like proof. Proof she was still here. Proof she hadn't disappeared yet. Sky wore the red sweater to lunch, to class, to the library, to the bike racks after school. She wore it until the color started to fade, until the threads pulled loose at the cuffs, until it didn't fit the way it used to. But she never stopped wearing it, because the day she took it off was the day she admitted the truth, that nobody was looking anyway. So Sky kept it on. Red against gray, bright against dull. A girl refusing to vanish in a world built to forget her. She stood in the hallway between classes. Kids rushed past. Lockers slammed, voices overlapped into noise. Sky stood still, in her red sweater, waiting for someone to stop. Nobody did, but she stayed visible anyway, because invisible was what they wanted, and Sky was done giving people what they wanted. The rule was simple: no lunch account balance, no lunch. Nobody yelled it, nobody enforced it with anger. It was just policy, printed on a laminated sheet behind the register, typed in an email sent to parents at the start of the year, mentioned once during orientation and never again. The cafeteria lady wasn't cruel, she was just following orders. Sky knew that. It didn't make it hurt less. The first time it happened, Sky had asked why. "System says your account is empty," the lady said. She didn't look Sky in the eye, just pointed at the screen. "But I paid yesterday," Sky said. "Then it didn't go through." "Can you check again?" The lady sighed, typed something, shook her head. "Nothing here. You'll have to talk to the office." Sky did. The office told her to talk to her parents. Her parents told her to talk to her grandmother. Her grandmother checked the bank statement and swore she paid. But the system said no, and the system didn't argue. It just deleted your lunch and moved on. Sky learned quickly that rules didn't need faces to hurt you. They just needed to exist. Mr. Calloway was the vice principal. He enforced the lunch policy, not because he wanted to, because someone had to. Sky saw him once in the hallway, tried to explain. "Sir, my grandmother paid, but did the payment clear? I don't know, but then we can't override it. It's policy." Policy, that word again. Sky stopped asking after that, because the adults weren't being mean. They were being correct. And somehow, that was worse. Mean people you could fight. Mean people gave you someone to blame. But policy? Policy was invisible. It didn't care if you were hungry. It didn't care if you followed every rule. It just cared about the system. And the system said no. Sky sat in class and listened to teachers talk about fairness, about standing up for what's right, about how rules existed to protect people. She wanted to laugh, because the rules weren't protecting her. They were starving her, and nobody was breaking any of them. That's what made it so quiet, so clean. No villain, no monster, just a policy that decided some kids ate and some kids didn't. Sky stopped trying to fix it, stopped asking questions, stopped hoping someone would bend the rules just once, because she finally understood. The system wasn't broken. It was working exactly how it was designed, and she was the cost. Sky walked past the cafeteria during lunch the next day. Didn't go in, didn't try, just kept walking. Her stomach growled. She ignored it. Hunger was easier than hope, because hope made you believe someone would care enough to break a rule. And Sky had learned the truth. Rules didn't have mercy. They just had forms to fill out. The final bell rang at 3:15. By 3:17, the hallways were empty. By 3:20, the parking lot was clear. By 3:25, Sky was alone. She sat on the curb near the bike racks, not because she had a bike. She didn't. She just liked the spot. It was far enough from the main entrance that teachers didn't see her, close enough to the street that she could pretend she was waiting for someone. She wasn't. Sky pulled her knees up, rested her chin on them, watched cars drive past without stopping. The school behind her went quiet. Lights turned off in classrooms. Doors locked. The building exhaled. Sky stayed. This was her favorite part of the day. Not because she was happy, because she could finally stop pretending to be. In class, she smiled when teachers called on her. In the hallways, she kept her head down. In the cafeteria, she acted like sitting alone didn't hurt. But here, after the bell, she didn't have to perform anymore. Sky leaned back against the bike rack. The metal was cold through her sweater. She didn't mind. A bird landed near her feet, hopped twice, looked at her. Sky didn't move. The bird flew away. She wondered if animals could sense loneliness, if they avoided it the same way people did. A breeze picked up. Sky pulled her sleeves over her hands. The red sweater was thin. It didn't block the wind, but she didn't take it off. She never did. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. A car horn honked. Life kept happening, just not here. Sky closed her eyes, listened to the nothing. This was the part of the day nobody saw, the part where she didn't have to be brave, didn't have to be strong, didn't have to be anything. She could just sit and breathe and exist without anyone expecting her to smile through it. Minutes passed, maybe 10, maybe 30. Sky didn't check. Time moved differently when you were alone. She opened her eyes. The sky was turning orange. The streetlights would come on soon. Sky stood up slowly. Her legs were stiff. She brushed off her jeans and adjusted her backpack. The school was dark now, completely empty. She started walking toward the street. Her shadow stretched long in front of her. Footsteps. Sky stopped, turned around. A man stood near the edge of the parking lot. Not close, but not far either. He wasn't moving, just standing there, watching. Sky's heart jumped. Her hand tightened on her backpack strap. The man didn't say anything. Neither did Sky. They just stood there, two people in an empty space, both waiting for something neither of them could name. Then the man took a step forward, and everything changed. Sky didn't run. She wanted to. Every part of her screamed to move, but her legs stayed frozen. The man stopped walking. He was maybe 20 feet away now, close enough that Sky could see his face. He looked tired, not dangerous, just tired. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said. Sky didn't answer. "I saw you sitting there," the man continued. His voice was quiet, calm. "You looked like you were waiting for someone." Sky's grip on her backpack strap loosened slightly. "I wasn't." The man nodded. Like that answer made sense, like he expected it. He didn't move closer, didn't smile, didn't try to make her feel better. He just stood there. And for some reason that felt safer than anything else he could have done. "You go to school here?" he asked. Sky nodded. "Rough day?" She almost laughed. "Almost." "Something like that," she said. The man looked at the school behind her, then back at her. His eyes weren't searching, they were just seeing. "I used to sit outside after school too," he said. Sky frowned. "Why?" "Because going home felt harder than staying." The words hit Sky in the chest. She didn't know what to say. The man shifted his weight, put his hands in his pockets. "You hungry?" Sky's stomach answered before she could. A low growl, quiet but unmistakable. She looked away, embarrassed. The man didn't react, didn't pity her, didn't ask why. He just waited. Sky swallowed. "They threw my lunch away." "Again?" That word. Sky's eyes shot up. "How did you—" "Because it's never just once," the man said. His voice was softer now. "It's always again." Sky stared at him. This stranger who somehow understood. "They threw mine away too," he said. "Long time ago. But I remember." Sky didn't know what to say. Adults didn't talk like this. They didn't admit things. They didn't share. They fixed, or ignored, or moved on. But this man just stood there, in the fading light, holding the weight of his own story without trying to make hers lighter. "I'm Dante," he said. Sky hesitated. "Sky." Dante nodded once, like her name mattered. Not in the way teachers said it when taking attendance. Not in the way the cafeteria lady said it when she threw her lunch away, but in the way that meant he'd remember it. "You live far from here?" Dante asked. "Not really." "You walking?" Sky nodded. Dante looked at the street, then back at her. "Mind if I walk in the same direction?" Sky studied him, his tired eyes, his hands still in his pockets, the way he wasn't rushing her to answer. "You can walk behind me," Sky said. Dante smiled. Small. Real. "Deal." They walked without talking. Sky stayed 10 feet ahead. Dante kept his distance. The street was quiet. A few cars passed. Nobody looked at them. Sky's backpack felt heavier with every step. Her stomach growled again. Louder this time. She pressed her hand against it. Like that would help. Behind her, Dante spoke. "You eat breakfast this morning?" Sky kept walking. "No." "Yesterday?" Sky didn't answer. Dante was quiet for a moment. Then he said something Sky didn't expect. "I used to hide mine." Sky slowed down. Didn't stop. Just slowed. "Hide what?" she asked. "My lunch. Back in school." Dante's voice was steady, like he was telling a story he'd told before, but only to himself. "I'd bring it, but I'd hide it in my locker. Eat it after everyone left." "Why?" "Because the other kids noticed things." Like when your bread was stale, or when your sandwich didn't have meat, or when you brought the same thing 3 days in a row because that's all there was. Sky stopped walking, turned around. Dante stopped too, kept his distance. They made fun of you? Sky asked. They didn't have to. I could feel them looking, comparing, deciding I didn't belong at their table. Sky stared at him. This man who wore clean shoes and a nice jacket, who didn't look like someone who'd ever gone hungry. You're lying, she said. I'm not. Adults always lie about this stuff. They say they get it, but they don't. Dante nodded. You're right. Most do. He reached into his jacket pocket, pulled out his wallet, opened it. Inside was a photo. Old, faded, creased down the middle. He held it out. Sky stepped, closer. Looked. The photo showed a boy, maybe 9, skinny, wearing a shirt 2 sizes too big, standing in front of a house with peeling paint. Sky looked up at Dante. That's you? That's me. Sky looked at the photo again. The boy's eyes were the same as Dante's, tired, waiting. Where's your lunch in this picture? Sky asked. Dante smiled. Sad. There wasn't one. Sky handed the photo back. Dante put it away. I'm not saying I know exactly what you're going through, but I know what it feels like when your stomach hurts and nobody asks why. Sky's throat tightened. I know what it's like to follow every rule and still get punished, Dante continued. I know what it's like to sit alone and wonder if anyone would notice if you just stopped showing up. Sky's eyes burned. And I know, Dante said quietly, what it's like when someone finally sees you, and you don't know if you should trust it. A car drove past. Its headlights swept over them. Sky wiped her eyes quickly, turned back around, started walking again. Dante followed, 10 feet behind, same as before, but something between them had shifted. Sky didn't know what it was yet. She just knew she wasn't walking alone anymore. You just watched something rare, 2 people who should have been strangers, finding each other in the exact place they were both broken. Sky showed Dante her hunger. Dante showed Sky his scars, and for a moment neither of them had to carry it alone. But here's what I need you to know. This story is about to test everything they just built. Every moment of trust, every fragile connection. And what happens next? It's going to hurt in ways you're not expecting. Most channels would have ended the story here, wrapped it up with a nice bow, let you feel good and move on. But that's not what this is. This is the kind of story that stays with you, the kind that asks hard questions, the kind that doesn't let you look away just because it gets uncomfortable. If you're still here because you need to know what happens to Sky and Dante, if you're the kind of person who doesn't scroll past the hard parts, then you're exactly who I'm telling this story for. Hit subscribe. Not because I asked, but because stories like this deserve witnesses. Let's see this through. Together. They walked 3 more blocks without speaking. Sky didn't plan it. She just kept walking, and Dante kept following. 10 feet back. Always. At the corner of Maple and 5th, Sky stopped at the crosswalk. Waited for the light. Dante stopped too. Same distance. The light changed. Sky crossed. Dante crossed. They kept walking. Sky didn't know why she wasn't telling him to leave. She should have. Stranger danger. All the things teachers warned about. But Dante wasn't acting like strangers did in those videos. He wasn't asking where she lived. Wasn't getting closer. Wasn't making promises. He was just there. Sky turned left on 7th Street. Didn't announce it. Just turned. Dante turned too. She glanced back. He was still 10 feet away, hands in his pockets, eyes on the sidewalk. Why are you still following me? Sky asked. I'm not following. I'm walking in the same direction. That's the same thing. Maybe, Dante said, but one sounds worse. Sky almost smiled. Almost. They passed a convenience store. Bright lights. People inside. Normal. Sky's stomach twisted. She could go in, buy something cheap, crackers maybe. But her lunch money was gone, and her grandmother's account was probably empty by now. She kept walking. Dante didn't suggest stopping, didn't offer to buy her anything. Sky was grateful for that. Pity was worse than hunger. They reached the park on 8th, the one with the broken swings and the basketball court nobody used. Sky stopped, turned around. "You can't follow me past here," she said. Dante nodded. "Okay. I mean it. I know." Sky studied his face, looking for something she couldn't name. A reason not to trust him. A reason to run. She didn't find it. "Why did you stop?" Sky asked. "Back at the school. Why didn't you just drive past like everyone else?" Dante was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Because I did once. Long time ago. Saw a kid sitting alone. Thought about stopping. Didn't. Told myself it wasn't my business. And I still think about it." Dante looked at her. "I still wonder if they made it home okay. If anyone checked on them. If they're still sitting somewhere waiting for someone to stop." Sky felt something crack in her chest. "You can't save everyone," she said. "I know, but I stopped pretending I can't see them." The streetlights flickered on. Orange. Warm. Sky adjusted her backpack. "I live 2 blocks that way." Dante nodded. "You go the other direction," Sky said. "Deal?" "Deal." Sky turned to leave, stopped, looked back. "Dante?" "Yeah? Thanks for walking behind me." Dante's face softened. "Any time, Sky." She walked away, didn't look back again. Behind her, Dante stood at the edge of the park, watching her red sweater disappear into the evening, making sure she got home safe, from a distance, like she asked. Sky saw Dante again 3 days later. Same spot, same time, after the final bell. She was sitting by the bike racks. He was standing near the parking lot. He didn't wave, didn't walk over, just stood there. Sky stood up, walked toward him. 10 feet away, she stopped. "You waiting for someone?" she asked. "Maybe," Dante said. "That's creepy." "Little bit." Sky almost smiled. "You can walk with me. Not behind this time." Dante raised an eyebrow. "You sure?" "No, but I'm doing it anyway." They walked side by side, quiet, at first. Then Sky spoke. "My lunch got thrown away again yesterday." Dante's jaw tightened. "Same reason?" "Same reason. Account's empty. System says no." "And your grandmother paid?" Sky nodded. "She always pays. But something keeps going wrong. The bank. The school. I don't know anymore." They crossed the street. Sky kicked a rock, watched it skitter into the gutter. "She's sick," Sky said. Her voice was smaller now. "My grandmother. Her hands shake. She forgets things sometimes. Not big things, just little ones, like where she put her glasses. Or if she took her medicine." Dante listened. Didn't interrupt. "I help her with the bills now," Sky continued. "She doesn't ask me to. But I see them sitting on the table. Past due. Red letters. So I help." "That's a lot," Dante said. "It's fine." "It's not. But I get why you say it is." Sky looked at him. Dante's face was calm, understanding. "The lunch isn't just food," Sky said quietly. "It's the only meal I know I'll get. If they throw it away..." She didn't finish. Dante stopped walking. Sky stopped too. He reached into his jacket, pulled out a napkin, white, folded, handed it to her. Sky took it, unfolded it carefully. Inside was a $20 bill and a note, handwritten. "For lunches they throw away, no questions, no shame." Sky stared at it, her vision blurred. "I can't take this," she said. "You're not taking it. I'm giving it." "I don't need charity." "It's not charity. It's what someone should have done for me, and didn't." Sky's hands shook. She folded the napkin back up, held it against her chest. "Why are you helping me?" Her voice cracked. "You don't even know me." Dante looked at her. His eyes were tired, but they were kind. "Because you reminded me what it felt like to be invisible, and I swore if I ever saw it again, I wouldn't just walk past." Sky's throat burned. Tears slipped down her face before she could stop them. "I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. "You don't have to." Sky wiped her eyes, tucked the napkin into her pocket. They kept walking, side by side, and for the first time in months, Sky felt something she'd forgotten existed. Hope. Sky went to the principal's office the next morning. Not because she was in trouble, she just needed a form, something about emergency contacts. The secretary wasn't at her desk. The office was quiet. Sky stood by the counter, waiting. Her eyes wandered. There was a trash can next to the desk, metal, half full. On top was an envelope, white, crisp. Sky shouldn't have looked, but she did. The name on the envelope was printed in bold black letters. Dante Morelli. Sky's breath caught. Below his name was an address, a company name she'd never heard of, and one more line. Educational Infrastructure Donation Review. Sky stared at the envelope. Dante. Her Dante. The man who walked behind her. The man who gave her $20 in a napkin. His name was on official school mail. The secretary's voice cut through the silence. "Can I help you?" Sky jumped. Looked up. The secretary stood in the doorway, coffee in hand, tired smile. "I need a form," Sky said. Her voice sounded far away. "For emergency contacts." The secretary nodded. Walked to the filing cabinet. Pulled out a sheet, handed it over. Sky took it. Her hands felt numb. "Thanks," she said. She walked out. Didn't look back at the trash can. Didn't need to. The name was already burned into her brain. Dante Morelli. Sky walked through the hallways in a fog. Kids rushed past, lockers slammed, voices blurred together. She made it to first period, sat down, stared at the board, didn't see anything. Dante Morelli. Why was his name in the principal's office? Why was it on official school mail? Donation review. The words echoed. Donation. Sky's stomach turned. He wasn't just some man who stopped to help. He wasn't just someone who understood hunger. He was connected to the school, to the system, to the people who threw her lunch away. Sky's chest tightened. Was he watching her? Was this some kind of project? Some charity case he could write off? The bell rang. Sky didn't move. "Sky?" The teacher's voice. "You okay?" Sky nodded, grabbed her backpack, left the room. She walked through the day like a ghost, ate nothing at lunch, didn't sit at her usual table, just walked the halls until the bell rang. After school, Sky went to the bike racks, waited. Dante was there, same spot, same tired eyes. He saw her, started to walk over. Sky didn't move toward him. Dante stopped, read her face. "What's wrong?" he asked. Sky's voice was flat, cold. "Who are you?" Dante frowned. "What? Who are you really? Don't lie to me." Dante's face shifted. Something behind his eyes changed. He knew she knew. Sky took a step back. "Your name is on a letter, in the principal's trash. Something about donations." Dante went still. Sky's voice cracked. "You're not just some guy who stopped. You're part of this. Part of them." Dante opened his mouth, closed it. "Sky, don't." Sky turned around, started walking, fast. Behind her, Dante called her name. She didn't stop. She just kept walking, away from the man who understood her, the man who'd lied. Sky didn't see Dante for 2 days. She didn't look for him either. On Thursday morning, she woke up late. Her grandmother had forgotten to set the alarm. Sky rushed through the house, grabbed her backpack, skipped breakfast. There wasn't any anyway. She made it to school just before the bell, slipped into her seat, ignored the stairs. Third period. History. Mr. Langston was talking about civil rights, about people who fought systems, who demanded change. Sky stared out the window. The irony wasn't lost on her. Then she smelled it. Smoke. Faint, but there. Sky sat up straighter, looked around. Nobody else seemed to notice. Mr. Langston kept talking. The other kids kept taking notes. Sky sniffed again. Definitely smoke. She raised her hand. Mr. Langston didn't see her. He was writing on the board. Sky stood up. "Sir." Mr. Langston turned, annoyed. "Sky, sit down. I'm in the middle of— I smell smoke." The room went quiet. Mr. Langston frowned, sniffed. "I don't smell anything." "I do." Another kid laughed. "She's making it up." Sky ignored him, walked to the door, opened it. Smoke rolled into the classroom, thick, gray, real. Someone screamed. The fire alarm went off. Chaos. Kids jumped up. Chairs fell. Mr. Langston shouted something about staying calm. Nobody listened. They rushed the door, pushing, shoving. Sky stood to the side, let them pass. Her heart pounded, but her head stayed clear. She'd practiced this. Fire drills. Every month, same route, same exits. But something was wrong. The usual exit led to the east hallway, toward the gym. That's where the smoke was coming from. Sky grabbed Mr. Langston's arm. "We can't go that way." He pulled away. "The exit is that way. Follow procedure. The smoke is that way." "Sky, I don't have time for— Listen to me." Mr. Langston stopped, looked at her. Sky pointed down the hall. "The west exit, the one they keep locked. Someone needs to open it. That exit is for emergencies only. This is an emergency." Mr. Langston hesitated. Sky didn't wait. She ran, down the hall, past the smoke, past kids coughing and crying. The west exit was at the end of the building, behind the library. Nobody used it. Nobody thought about it. Sky reached the door, slammed her body against the push bar, locked. She tried again. Nothing. Behind her, footsteps, voices. Kids were coming, following her. Sky looked around, saw the fire extinguisher on the wall, grabbed it, swung. The glass panel on the door shattered. Sky reached through, unlocked it from the outside. Pushed. The door swung open. Fresh air rushed in. Sky stepped aside. "Go!" she shouted. Kids poured through, one after another. Teachers followed, then staff. Sky stood at the door, held it open, counted faces. Her lungs burned, her eyes watered. But she didn't move, not until everyone was out, not until the hallway was empty. Only then did Sky step through the door, into the sunlight, into the open air. She collapsed on the grass, coughing, shaking. Around her, sirens screamed. Fire trucks, ambulances. Someone wrapped a blanket around her shoulders. Sky didn't know who. She just sat there, red sweater covered in ash, hands trembling, alive. Paramedics checked Sky's breathing, asked her questions. She answered without thinking. "Yes." "No, I'm fine." She wasn't fine. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Around her, the school lawn had turned into chaos. Kids crying, parents arriving, teachers trying to count heads. Nobody was looking at Sky anymore. The moment had passed. She was invisible again. Sky pulled the blanket tighter, stared at the building. Smoke poured from the east wing. Fire trucks surrounded it. Water sprayed through broken windows. The gym was gone. The east hallway, the cafeteria where her lunch had been thrown away. Sky felt nothing about that, just empty. "Sky." She turned. Dante stood 10 feet away. His face was pale. His eyes were wide. He looked terrified. "You're okay," he said. Not a question, a statement, like he needed to say it out loud to believe it. Sky stared at him. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "I heard about the fire. I came." "Why?" Dante took a step closer, stopped. "Because I needed to make sure you were safe." Sky's jaw tightened. "You don't get to care about me." "Sky, you lied to me." "I didn't lie." "You didn't tell me the truth." "Same thing." Dante's face crumbled. "I know. You're right. I should have told you who I was." "Who are you?" Sky's voice cracked. "Really?" Dante looked at the building, then back at her. "I run a foundation. We fund schools, libraries, meal programs." Sky's stomach dropped. "You fund this school?" Dante nodded. Sky laughed, cold, sharp. "So you're the reason the system works so well?" "No." "Sky, listen. I don't want to hear it. The system is broken. I know that now." "Now?" Sky stood up. The blanket fell off her shoulders. "You didn't know before?" You didn't know kids were going hungry? You didn't know lunches were being thrown away? Dante's voice was quiet. I thought I was helping. You weren't. I know. Sky wiped her eyes, angry tears, not sad ones. You walked with me. You gave me money. You acted like you understood. I do understand. No, you don't. Sky's voice rose. You escaped. You got out. You have money and power, and you built a foundation so you could feel good about yourself. But you didn't fix anything. You just wrote checks and walked away. Dante didn't argue. Sky stepped closer. I saved those kids today. Not you. Not your foundation. Not your donations. Me. A kid you people throw away every single day. Her voice broke. I saved them because I knew where the exit was. Because I pay attention. Because I have to. Because nobody else is looking. Dante's face was wet now. You're right, he whispered. Sky turned away. Don't follow me anymore, she said. She walked across the lawn, away from the smoke, away from Dante, away from the man who had money but couldn't buy what mattered. The ability to see what was right in front of him. The news vans arrived an hour later. Reporters set up cameras, interviewed parents, filmed the smoking building. Someone told them about Sky, about the west exit, about the girl who saved everyone. A reporter approached her, microphone extended, smile too bright. You're the hero, right? The one who found the exit? Sky sat on the curb, knees pulled to her chest, ash still on her sweater. I'm not a hero, she said, but you saved all those kids. Sky looked at the woman, at her perfect hair, her clean clothes, her excited eyes. I opened a door, Sky said. That's it. But if you hadn't, someone else would have. The reporter leaned in. Can you tell us how it felt? Being in that moment? Knowing lives depended on you? Sky's stomach turned. This woman didn't care. She just wanted a story. Something for the evening news. Sky stood up. I need to go. She walked away before the reporter could follow, but others found her. Teachers, parents, kids she'd never spoken to. They thanked her, hugged her, called her brave. Sky stood there, let them say their words, felt nothing, because none of them had been there before. None of them had stopped when her lunch was thrown away. None of them had noticed when she sat alone, when she went hungry, when she disappeared. But now they saw her, because she'd done something useful. Sky hated that. She walked to the far edge of the lawn, away from the cameras, away from the voices, sat down in the grass. Alone. Her hands were still shaking. Not from fear, from something else. Anger, exhaustion, relief. She didn't know anymore. A shadow fell across her. Sky looked up. A woman stood there, gray hair, soft eyes. A teacher Sky didn't recognize. Can I sit? The woman asked. Sky shrugged. The woman sat down, not too close, just near. They sat in silence. The woman didn't ask questions, didn't thank her, didn't call her brave. She just sat. After a while she spoke. You're shaking. Sky looked at her hands. I know. That's normal after something like this. Sky didn't respond. The woman was quiet again. Then she said something Sky didn't expect. You shouldn't have had to do that. Sky's throat tightened. Adults should have known, the woman continued. We should have checked, should have made sure every exit worked, should have been paying attention. Sky's eyes burned. You saved lives today, the woman said softly. But you shouldn't have needed to. That's on us, not you. A tear slipped down Sky's face, then another. The woman didn't hug her, didn't try to fix it. She just sat there and let Sky fall apart. Sky cried. Quietly. Her shoulders shook, her chest ached. All the fear she'd swallowed came up at once. The woman stayed. When Sky finally stopped, she wiped her face, looked at the woman. I'm tired, Sky whispered. I know. I'm so tired of being the only one who sees things. The woman nodded. You shouldn't have to be. Sky leaned back in the grass, stared at the sky, and wished the world would stop needing her to save it. Sky went home early. The school sent everyone home. Her grandmother was waiting on the porch, face pale, hands shaking worse than usual. She pulled Sky into a hug, held her tight. I heard, she whispered. They said you saved everyone. Sky didn't answer, just held on. Inside, her grandmother made tea. Sky sat at the kitchen table, stared at nothing. The news played on the small TV in the corner. Footage of the fire, interviews with parents, then Sky's face, blurry, from far away, but unmistakable. The reporter's voice. One brave student saved dozens by finding an alternate exit. Her grandmother smiled, proud. Sky felt sick. That night, Sky couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, stared at the ceiling. Her phone buzzed. A text. Unknown number. She opened it. I'm sorry. I should have told you who I was from the beginning. You deserved that. Dante. Sky stared at the message. Another buzz. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I just need you to know something. Then another. I started the foundation because I thought money could fix what hurt me as a kid. I thought if I funded enough programs, built enough systems, I could erase what I went through. Another. But I was wrong. I built systems that helped some kids and hurt others. I just didn't see it. Because I wasn't looking. Sky's chest tightened. You made me look. You made me see what I'd been ignoring. I'm not a good person, Sky. I'm just someone with money trying to buy back the past. Sky's thumb hovered over the screen. Then one more message came through. My foundation funds your school district, has for 3 years, the lunch program, the building repairs, the staff, all of it. Sky's breath stopped. I built the system that's been failing you. Sky sat up, read the message again and again. Dante's foundation, his money, his decisions. He wasn't just connected to the system. He was the system. The cafeteria rules, the locked exits, the policies that threw her lunch away while adults hid behind procedure. It all traced back to him. Sky's hands shook. She typed fast, angry. You've been funding this place for 3 years and you didn't know kids were starving? The response came quick. No, I didn't. I just signed checks and trusted other people to care. Sky threw her phone across the room. It hit the wall, clattered to the floor. She pulled her knees to her chest, pressed her face against them. Dante had walked beside her, shared his story, given her money, and the whole time, he'd been the reason she needed it. The foundation wasn't helping kids like her, it was funding the machine that ground them down, and Dante had been too far away to see. Sky's phone buzzed again from across the room. She didn't get it, didn't read whatever excuse he had next. She just sat in the dark, in her red sweater, hating the man who'd finally made her feel seen, the man who should have been looking all along, the billionaire who had everything, except the ability to see past his own guilt. Sky didn't go back to school for a week. The building was closed anyway. Fire damage, inspections. She stayed home, helped her grandmother, avoided the news. When school reopened, they moved everyone to the middle school building. Temporary. Until repairs finished. Different cafeteria, different rules, same system. Sky walked in on her first day back. Kids stared, whispered, some pointed. The girl from the fire, the hero. Sky kept her head down, found a corner, sat alone. Lunch came. Sky stood in line, tray in hand. The cafeteria worker was new, didn't recognize her. Account number? The woman asked. Sky recited it. The woman typed, frowned. Says here there's a hold on your account. Sky's stomach dropped. What? System shows restricted access. You'll need to see the office. But Next. Sky stepped aside. Let the line move past her. Same script, different building. Nothing had changed. She walked to the office. stood at the counter, a different secretary, same tired smile. "My lunch account is blocked," Sky said. "Can you check it?" The secretary typed, clicked, scrolled. "Oh," she said. That word. Sky knew that word. "Oh, what?" The secretary looked uncomfortable. "There's a note here, from the district office." "What kind of note?" "It says your account has been flagged for review. Something about a funding discrepancy in the meal program." Sky's chest tightened. "What does that mean?" "I'm not sure. You'll need to contact the district." "Can I eat today?" The secretary hesitated. "I'm sorry. Until it's cleared, I can't authorize it." Sky stood there, staring. The fire hadn't changed anything. Saving lives hadn't changed anything. She was still the girl whose lunch got thrown away. Sky turned around, walked out. Behind her, the secretary called her name. She didn't stop. Sky walked through the temporary hallways, past classrooms, past kids eating lunches they didn't have to fight for. She pushed through the exit doors, sat on the steps outside, pulled out her phone, stared at Dante's last message, the one she hadn't opened. Her thumb hovered over it. Then she opened it. "I'm shutting it down." Sky frowned, read it again. Another message below it. "The foundation. I'm dissolving it. Effective immediately." Sky's breath caught. "I thought I was helping, but I built something that hurt you, hurt kids like you, so I'm tearing it down." Sky read the words 3 times. Another message. "I don't know what comes next, but I know I can't keep pretending signing checks is the same as caring." Sky's throat burned. She typed slowly. "They blocked my lunch account again." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Dante's response came through. "Where are you?" Sky hesitated. "Outside, west entrance." "Stay there." Sky looked up, across the parking lot. A car pulled in. Black, expensive. It stopped near the curb. The door opened. Dante stepped out. He looked different, tired, like he hadn't slept. He walked toward her, stopped 10 feet away, same distance as before. Sky stood up. They looked at each other. 2 people broken by the same system, one who'd escaped it, one who was still drowning in it. Dante's voice was quiet. "I can't fix this with money." Sky's voice cracked. "I know, but I need to try something else, something real." "Like what?" Dante looked at the building, then back at her. "I don't know yet, but I need your help figuring it out." Sky wiped her eyes. "Why should I help you?" "Because you see what I don't, and I'm finally ready to listen." Sky stared at him. Then she said one word. "Oh." Dante went home that night. Not to his penthouse, to his house, the one with too many rooms and not enough sound. He stood in the kitchen, marble counters, stainless steel appliances, everything clean, everything perfect. He opened the refrigerator, stared at the shelves, fresh fruit, organic vegetables, expensive cheese, bottled water imported from somewhere he'd never been. More food than one person could eat. He closed the door, walked to the living room, sat on the couch, the silence pressed against him. Dante pulled out his phone, scrolled through emails, foundation dissolution paperwork, legal documents, notifications, years of work, millions of dollars, all being dismantled. He didn't feel relief. He felt empty. His assistant had called earlier, confused, worried. "Are you sure about this?" she'd asked. "The foundation does a lot of good." Dante had said yes. He was sure, but sitting alone in his house, he wasn't sure of anything. He'd built the foundation thinking he could erase his past, turn his shame into something useful, but all he'd done was build a wall between himself and the people he claimed to help. Kids like Sky. Kids who needed someone to look, to listen, to stop. Not someone to write checks from a boardroom. Dante stood up, walked to his office. On the desk was a folder. Reports from the school district, numbers, graphs, success metrics. He'd read them dozens of times, smiled at the percentages, the improved attendance rates, the graduation numbers, but he'd never asked the right questions. Who's being left behind? Who's still hungry? Who's invisible? Dante opened the folder, looked at the numbers. Again. They meant nothing. He threw the folder across the room, pages scattered. He sat down, put his head in his hands. For the first time in years, Dante let himself remember the boy he used to be, the one with the stale bread, the too big shirt, the empty stomach, the one who learned to hide, to stay quiet, to disappear. He'd escaped that life, built an empire, made more money than that boy could have imagined, but he'd never stopped running, and somewhere along the way, he'd forgotten what he was running from, until Sky with her red sweater, her empty lunch tray, her eyes that refused to disappear. She'd reminded him, and it hurt worse than anything he'd felt in decades, because he hadn't just escaped poverty, he'd abandoned everyone still trapped in it. Dante's phone buzzed, a text, from a number he didn't recognize. He opened it. "Thank you for the $20. I bought 3 lunches with it, saved the rest. Sky." Dante stared at the message. Another one came through. "I know you're trying. That matters, even if it doesn't fix everything." Dante's eyes burned. He typed back slowly. "I don't deserve your kindness." Sky's response was immediate. "Maybe not, but you're getting it anyway." Dante read the message twice. Then he did something he hadn't done since he was a kid. He cried. Not quietly, not politely. He broke. Sitting alone in his expensive house, holding a phone with a message from a child who had every reason to hate him, but chose not to. And Dante finally understood. Money couldn't buy redemption, but maybe, if he listened hard enough, he could earn it. Dante didn't announce his visits. No press releases, no photo ops, no foundation representatives. Just him. He started the next week, walked into schools during lunch, different ones, different districts, ones his foundation had funded, ones it hadn't. He didn't introduce himself, didn't explain who he was. He just watched. At Roosevelt Elementary, he stood near the cafeteria entrance. A boy approached the lunch line. Small, quiet. The cafeteria worker checked his account, shook her head. Insufficient funds. The boy's face fell. He stepped aside. Nobody stopped him. Nobody asked if he was okay. The line kept moving. Dante watched the boy walk to an empty table. Sit down. Pull out a book. Pretend to read. Dante knew that trick. He walked over, sat down across from the boy. "Hey," Dante said. The boy looked up, suspicious. "You hungry?" Dante asked. The boy shrugged. Dante didn't push, just sat there. After a minute, the boy spoke. "My mom forgot to put money in the account." "That happen a lot?" "Sometimes." Dante nodded. "What's your name?" "Carter." "I'm Dante." He paused. "You know the lunch is supposed to be for everyone, right? Not just the kids whose accounts work?" Carter looked at him. "That's not how it works." "I know, but that's how it should work." Carter didn't respond. Dante stood up, walked to the cafeteria line, came back with a tray, set it in front of Carter. The boy stared at it. "I can't pay you back," Carter said. "I'm not asking you to." Carter picked up the fork, started eating. Dante watched, didn't say anything else. He did the same thing at 3 more schools that week, bought lunches for kids whose accounts were blocked, sat with them, listened. He learned their names, their stories. Malik, whose dad worked 2 jobs but the checks never cleared on time. Priya, whose family was between housing, who used the school address so she wouldn't have to change schools again. Elijah, who qualified for free lunch but the paperwork got lost 3 times. Dante listened to all of them, and with each story something inside him broke a little more, because he'd been writing checks to fix this for years, and none of it had reached them. On Friday, Dante went back to Sky's school, sat in the temporary cafeteria, in the corner where nobody looked. He watched the lunch line, saw kids turned away, saw them walk to tables with nothing, saw them learn to be invisible. Dante pulled out his phone, opened his notes app, started writing. Not a plan. Not a proposal. Just observations. The way the cafeteria worker's face went blank when she had to say no. The way kids walked slower after being turned away, like they were carrying something heavy. The way teachers ate lunch in their classrooms. Never in the cafeteria. Never where they'd have to see. Dante wrote it all down. Because Sky had been right. He hadn't been looking, but he was looking now, and he finally understood why it hurt so much. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you can't unsee it, doing nothing becomes impossible. Dante left the school as the bell rang. Kids poured into the hallways. He stood outside, watched them go. Somewhere in that crowd was Sky, still fighting to be seen, still wearing her red sweater, still surviving a system that Dante had helped build. He couldn't fix it with money, but maybe he could fix it by refusing to look away. Sky walked into the cafeteria on Monday. Same temporary building, same line, same rules. But something felt different. She couldn't name it yet. Sky stood in line, tray in hand, red sweater faded but still bright. The cafeteria worker looked up, recognized her. Account number? Sky recited it, waited. The woman typed. Her face shifted. You're cleared, she said. Sky blinked. What? Your account. It's active. Full balance. Sky stared. How? The woman shrugged. System updated over the weekend. Says here you're covered through end of year. Sky took her tray, moved down the line, got her food without explaining, without begging, without disappearing. She walked to her usual table, the wobbly one near the window, set her tray down, stared at it. Mac and cheese, apple slices, milk. Nothing special, nothing fancy. But it was there. Sky picked up her fork. Across the cafeteria, she saw him, Dante, sitting alone at a table in the corner, eating quietly. He looked up. Their eyes met. He didn't smile, didn't wave, just nodded once. Sky looked back at her food, took a bite. The cafeteria hummed around her, kids talking, trays clattering, life happening. Sky chewed slowly. She wasn't sure what had changed. The account was cleared. That was something. But the system was still the same. The rules were still there. Tomorrow, someone else's lunch would get thrown away. Sky looked at Dante again. He was talking to a kid, listening, the same way he'd listened to her. Sky understood then. Dante wasn't here to fix everything. He was here to see, to stop turning away. That didn't solve the problem, but it was the only way anything would ever change. Sky finished her lunch, stood up, walked to the trash can, scraped her plate, turned to leave. Sky, she stopped, turned around. A girl stood there, younger, maybe 6th grade, nervous. I saw you, the girl said quietly. During the fire? You saved us. Sky didn't know what to say. I just wanted to say thank you, the girl continued. And also, she hesitated. Also what? My lunch got thrown away today, and I didn't know who to tell. But then I saw you, and I thought maybe you'd understand. Sky's chest tightened. She looked at the girl, really looked, saw herself a year ago, 2 years ago, saw every kid who'd learned to be invisible. What's your name? Sky asked. Zara. Sky nodded. Come with me, Zara. She led the girl across the cafeteria, to the corner where Dante sat. He looked up as they approached. This is Zara, Sky said. Her lunch got thrown away. Dante stood immediately, looked at Zara. Can you tell me what happened? He asked. Zara's voice was small. The lady said my account was empty, but my mom paid last week. Dante pulled out his phone. What's your last name? Zara told him. Dante typed, made a call, spoke quietly, hung up. Give me 10 minutes, he said. Zara nodded. Sky sat down. Zara sat next to her. Dante disappeared toward the office. Zara looked at Sky. Is he going to help? Sky thought about it, about everything that had happened, everything that hadn't changed. I don't know, Sky said honestly. But he's going to try. And that's more than most people do. Zara nodded. They sat there. Two girls in red and blue. Waiting, hoping. Still fighting to be seen. Dante came back 12 minutes later. Zara's account was cleared. She ate lunch that day. The next day, two more kids approached Sky. Same story, same blocked accounts, same hunger. Sky brought them too, Dante. He made calls, fixed accounts, one by one. But on Wednesday, something changed. A teacher stopped Sky in the hallway, Mrs. Chen. Fat's math, second period. Can I talk to you? She asked. Sky nodded. They stepped into an empty classroom. Mrs. Chen closed the door, turned around. I've been watching, she said. You, that man, the kids you're helping. Sky tensed. We're not doing anything wrong. I know. That's why I'm here. Mrs. Chen sat on the edge of a desk, looked tired. I've been teaching for 15 years, she said, and I've watched kids go hungry the entire time. I always told myself it wasn't my place, that someone else would handle it, that there were rules. Sky stayed quiet. But you didn't wait for someone else, Mrs. Chen continued. You just acted. And now I can't stop asking myself why I didn't. Sky's throat tightened. So I started asking questions, Mrs. Chen said, about the lunch program, about the account system, about why so many payments get lost. And nobody has good answers. Just policies, just procedures, that's how it's always been. Mrs. Chen pulled out her phone, showed Sky a group chat, 15 teachers, all asking the same questions. Why are kids being turned away? Who approved this system? What happens to kids who can't pay? Sky read the messages. Her chest felt warm. We're not supposed to question these things, Mrs. Chen said, but we're questioning them anyway. Sky looked up. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, but I know we can't keep pretending we don't see. Mrs. Chen stood, walked to the door, stopped. That man helping you. Dante. He used to run the foundation that funded this district, right? Sky nodded. He's the one who built this system? Yeah. Mrs. Chen was quiet for a moment. Then she said something Sky didn't expect. Good. Sky frowned. Good. He should be the one to tear it down. People who build broken things have a responsibility to fix them. Mrs. Chen left. Sky stood in the empty classroom, staring at nothing. That afternoon, the principal called an emergency staff meeting. Sky heard about it from a janitor. He was standing outside the teacher's lounge, listening. They're asking about the lunch program, he whispered to Sky. The teachers. They want answers. Sky leaned against the wall. Inside, voices rose. Not angry, just persistent. Why? How long has this been happening? What are we doing about it? The questions didn't have easy answers, but they were being asked. That night, Sky got a text from Dante. 3 more teachers contacted me today. They want to help. Sky typed back. What did you tell them? That I don't have all the answers, but I know who does. Who? The kids who've been surviving this, they're the experts, not me. Sky stared at the message. Another text came through. We're meeting Friday after school. In the library. Teachers, parents, anyone who wants real change. Will you come? Sky hesitated, then typed one word. Yes. Because silence had kept things broken for too long, and Sky was done being quiet. Friday came. Sky walked into the library after school. Expected maybe 10 people. There were 40. Teachers, parents, cafeteria workers, a janitor, 2 school board members, and kids. At least 15 kids, all wearing different colors, different sizes, different faces, all with the same story. Sky stood in the doorway, frozen. Dante saw her, waved her over. She walked through the crowd, sat in the front row. Dante stood at the front, No podium, no microphone, just him. "Thank you for coming," he said. His voice was quiet, steady. "I'm not here to give speeches or make promises. I'm here because I helped build a system that's failing kids, and I need to own that." The room went silent. "For 3 years, my foundation funded this district. I thought I was helping. I wasn't looking closely enough. I wasn't asking the right questions. And kids went hungry because of it." A parent in the back spoke up. "So, what are you going to do now?" Dante looked at Sky, then back at the crowd. "I'm not the one with the answers," he said. "They are." He gestured to the kids in the front row. "These kids have been surviving a broken system. They know where it fails. They know what needs to change. And if we're serious about fixing this, we need to stop talking and start listening." Dante sat down. Sky's heart pounded. Mrs. Chen stood up. "Who wants to go first?" Nobody moved. Then Sky stood. Her legs shook, her hands were cold, but she spoke anyway. "My name is Sky, and my lunch has been thrown away 6 times this year." Her voice cracked. "Not because I didn't pay, not because I broke rules, but because the system decided I didn't matter." She looked around the room, at the teachers who'd walked past her, at the parents who'd never asked, at the adults who'd built the rules. "You want to know what needs to change?" Sky's voice grew stronger. "Stop hiding behind policy. Stop pretending you don't see us. Stop waiting for someone else to care." Tears slipped down her face. "We're here. Every single day. Sitting in your classrooms, walking your hallways, waiting for someone to notice we're starving." Sky wiped her eyes. "So notice." She sat down. The room was silent. Then Zara stood. "My name is Zara, and they threw my lunch away last week." Another kid stood. Then another. One by one, they spoke their names, their stories. The adults listened. Some cried, some looked away, some took notes. But they all stayed. When the last kid finished, Mrs. Chen stood. "We failed you," she said. Her voice shook. "All of us. And we don't get to make excuses anymore." She looked at the other teachers. "We're changing this. Starting Monday. No more kids turned away. No more blocked accounts. No more hiding behind rules." A school board member stood. "That's not realistic. We have budgets, we have—" "Then change the budget," Mrs. Chen said. "Make it realistic." The room erupted. Not in argument, in agreement. Voices overlapping, ideas forming, plans taking shape. Sky sat in her seat, exhausted, relieved. Dante leaned over. "You did this." Sky shook her head. "We did this." Dante smiled, small, real. Outside, the sun was setting, orange light through the windows. Sky looked at her red sweater, faded, worn, still bright. She'd spent years trying to be seen. And finally, people were looking. Not because she saved them from a fire, but because she refused to disappear. Even when the world tried to erase her, Sky stood up, walked toward the door. Behind her, voices continued, planning, organizing, fighting. She stepped outside, breathed, and for the first time in years, Sky felt something she'd almost forgotten. Not hope, something stronger, belief.